So, welcome back. In this little update video today, we will talk if a fuel cell is still going up, what is Bed Bath & Beyond doing, is SAVA now finished or not, is FFAI going to the list or still squeeze, is NIO finished with its pullback, what is webull doing, and of course we will talk about high-craft mining and plug. If you're interested, just stay tuned. As always, I am using the Fractal Method. I will link, as always, the explanation video at the end of the video, or you just search for the playlist Fractal Method. Well, then let's start with fuel cell. So, I cleaned up all my charts so that we only have the micro tracking of what we are doing in the last 2 weeks, because we don't need it for the past, and to make it a little bit easier to see. So for fuel cell, we clearly started the IPO in our big B. After that, we ran to our C, then lower high, midpoint T. And before we go into the micro tracking, the T and the M, as always, are giving us the next target for our next big A and next big B. But as I'm always saying, in my opinion, without a forward split, you won't see a share of fuel cell at $20,000. We can still go up here if we break this trend line, but still without a split, in my opinion, your highest price will be this trend line. So if fuel cell isn't doing a forward split, $800-900 is the maximum you would get. You would reject here, and die. Okay, so let's see what the micro tracking is saying. So here is the zoomed in version on the 4 hour. We made our absolute low in May 2025, this point here. After that, as we always are doing on all shares, on all stocks, we are doing our nice higher low, which ended perfectly in a V&A, and also which ended perfectly under the 0.786 fib. So perfect. After that, we just added a micro higher low, which happens quite so often, this little thing here, which also ended in a V&A, and in the moment it was finished, we broke out. What did we do after that? Well, we made our A and the A pullback. So this A pullback, for the A pullback, we're taking from the V to the top of A, our fib, and you will see here it was a perfect bounce on the 0.618, and it was, for the tiny tracking, a V&A. After this A, we just did a small higher low. So this is our small higher low for this A, which we finished in an after hours candle where we immediately bounced, came up. This is our little micro A, which perfectly bounced at the 0.5, and since then we are going up. So what would happen next? Well, my next target is, because this is our big A, our next target is big B. And I know it sounds stupid, but my max price for big B is 164. Or at least, if we say this isn't M and this is M, something around 55. Yeah? The thing is, where would be our C then? Because normally you make your A, then you go to your B. This would be this. Then you take your A bottom to your B peak. After that comes the B pullback. And then normally you go to your C. In that case, our C would be here at $880. The only thing, I mean, maybe we are doing that as an alt. We could say, okay, that is a possibility. But the main problem here is it's not only the fractal theory is not only about ABC, LMMT. It's also about that fractals are repeating themselves. So, in my opinion, what will happen is this. And I will also show you why. So this would happen. Yeah? Your B peak is not here. We are tracking the stock only for this next run now. But your B peak is here. Why? Just because if you would look at the IPO, we would be right now in the best case here. We're looking for this run, but this is still the price movement which would come after that. Yeah? Because your B peak is still here and you have to look. So if you get this run, this took you 2,500 days. So 7 years. And here's also to say that the fractal, the repetition of the fractal, most of the time it gets bigger and slower. So what took you in 1990s 7 years, maybe take you the double. So 14 years maybe. Yeah. That's why be careful to wait this out. It could kill you. Also, another confirmation for this is we already did this move. Yeah? We just have to look at our T here. It was the same move. I will show that side by side. So left side, we still have the chart from right now on the 4 hour. Right side, we have the 4 hour chart in 2019 and 2020 from June till October 2020. And you clearly see here that it's quite similar. You have down here a V, the same like here. You made your big higher low, same like you made your big higher low. You got your breakout, you got your breakout, you got your pullback, you got your pullback. You even did this little higher low. The only thing which is missing here is this candle here, because this was way deeper, maybe just because of after hours. And then you kind of went sideways. This section here, I compare to this section here. So I always said in the previous videos that gap up would be confirmation that we are really here. But I also said in the last video, we might don't get this gap up. We might just do that during the market. So I say it again, this here could easily be already this here. The only alternative I have for this is that we are not here, that we are right now here. Yeah? So this candle here is right now here, which could also explain why we didn't really see a gap up, because here is not one. But even if we would be here, this peak, in my opinion, would still be between $50 and $60. So from $10 to $50, $60, and I think the max strike on options is 15 or 25. I don't know it. Looks still absolutely fantastic. For levels, it's quite easy. Everything over 10.89 is bullish. Everything over 1242, mega bullish. And I think everything over $14, and there is no alternative anymore. If we break under 727 again, something is wrong. I don't have this alt and I don't like it, but then something is wrong and I really have to look at it again. But right now, this thing looks absolutely fucking great. Okay, next one is NIO. Also for NIO, I completely reworked the chart. The tracking didn't change, but just to see it better. So for NIO, we have to say that the macro fractal, so the really completely zoomed out fractal, started in its A. Yeah, and to be completely exact, in the pullback of A, we started at our endpoint. In 2019, in October, we made our all-time low. Since 2019 till April 2025, we just did our B. Why? Just because if you take the FIB from your all-time low to your peak in 2021, you see you didn't fell under the 0.786, but you quite close bounced on your 0.618. So this is a perfect, not higher low, but a perfect B point. So what did we do since then? Well, let's zoom in. So here's our ending, what I showed before, in April 2025. After that, we just did our higher low, which also quite perfect. We came close to the 7.8, so I really don't like that so much. But if you micro track it, here is our A. So we did a perfect V and A, and that's the only part which is important for me. After that, we did 2 or 3 little micro higher lows, and we broke out. The important part of this is that we broke out of the trend line. So this whole thing is just our A, our middle A already, which also perfectly went to our trend line of our T. So perfect place for A, and then we dropped. And the thing is, normally I would say an A is dropping to a 0.5 or a 0.618. Okay, thing is here, our 0.5 is already gone, in my opinion. Yeah? The only thing is, we are now between the 0.5 and the 0.618. So I still have 2 versions for NIO right now. Version 1 is still the version from the old tracking. I want my V and A. And the V and A is here at 437. It's also the 0.618 FIB. So we have to come at least 1 cent under 437. So 436 is already enough. Then we might add a little higher low, but after that we go. For version 2, this was already your V, because you are between the 0.5 and the 0.618. And for a pullback, you normally don't need a V and A. In that case, we are right now doing a little higher low, which could already be finished, and our next move would be up. For levels, before I show a comparison to this, for levels, if you break, I mean, it isn't really helping you, right? If you break, of course, 148, you will do the 446. That isn't really helping. But if you go up from here and you break 580, I think the downtrend is gone and we go up. For absolutely confirmation, if you break 626 and you have your confirmation. What is the next level we are looking for? Well, the next level we are looking for is our B. At 1596, so you would go up here. Then you take from your, if this is our BA bottom, you take your fib again, you will pull back something in here, and then you go to your C. And to say that, this is only the, not the micro tracking, but the middle tracking. Our big tracking is our next macro C has to be over $67. Somewhere in here. Could be here. I mean, I don't think so, but something over 67 is our C. So to what do I compare this move? Because fractals are always repeating. So I will show you that side by side. So left side is now on the 24-hour chart. Right side is 2020 December on the 24-hour chart. And you could even say it's the absolute same chart because fractals are repeating. You have here your V in April, you have here your V in October. You did a small higher low, you did a small higher low, you broke out of the trend line, you broke out of the trend line, you did your perfect A, you did your perfect A, and you fell back to the 618. I mean, in that case, we are close, yeah, but not really close, except we really go now to 436, then it would be the same landmark. Just saying. The only thing, if we're really repeating it one-to-one, because this really looks like we're repeating it one-to-one, in that case, we would now drop, make this little higher low, the same landmark we did here, and then slowly grinding up till the point where we're really starting to take off. Just saying. This thing looks absolutely perfect. Okay. Next one is FFAI. Also here, I cleaned a little bit up, so there's not so much noise on this chart. All in all, we started our IPO. I mean, you could say that this little thing here is just what we are doing right now here. But the all-time high was in January 21. Then we just made our lower high, midpoint, fell off, did our T. And if there's anything bullish on the chart, our all-time low was in April 2025. Then we did our high low, and this little stupid higher lows, which we will look in a second, if it's bullish and we are finished, our next macro A is here at 553. And then our big B is at $5,000. And quite the same like FCEL, I highly say, no, you won't see any share at $5,000. Yeah? Not without a split. If FFAI isn't doing a split, in my opinion, your highest price is this trend line. 153, you will reject here if you're not doing a split and die. Yeah? So before we zoom in, whenever this is finished, my price targets, no financial advice, for our next A would be around $4 to $6. Our next B around $20 to $11. And our C somewhere under 153 to $50-ish. So from $1, that's good. So let's zoom in. So here the zoomed in chart. Here our all-time low in April. Since April 2025, we did this massive higher low, which is perfect, which perfectly ended in a V&A on November 17, 2025. It's also under our 0.786 FIB. Perfect. Since then, we did a micro higher low, which started on November 17 to December 31st, 2025, which of course also ended in a V&A and also under the 0.678. And now it gets tricky. You all know I don't like double buttons. And December 31st and January 21st is a double button. I don't like that at all. Only problem I have, I can't say that this thing here is a higher low, the whole thing. It's for me impossible to say, because in that case I would have to say that January 7 was just a C. This would be the only possible place for a B, and then I get into the problem. I don't have place for an A. I just don't, because of this drop here. Because this, there is no place for an A. There is just none, because B, bottom, can't be lower than A. So this isn't working. So the only way I can say this is still working is if this whole thing is a little micro higher low, and this whole thing is a micro higher low, just the second one. But to say this is only true if we're not going under 99.97 cents. If you break this level here, this can't be a second higher low anymore. In that case, the only way to track this is that this higher low isn't finished and that our T was January 7. In that case, you will break Friday, November 14. So you will break under 94 cents. You will break, you have to go under this. And to say that, you are not allowed, in that case, you are not allowed to touch or break 83 cents. If you touch or break 83 cents, this whole thing is wrong. And then you can go, you make a new all-time low, wherever it is, and then you even have to start this higher low again. In that case, this play right now would be dead for me. Yeah, because this could easily take months after that. That would be the bearish alternative. For the bullish alternative, we have two ways. We're doing bullshit, because we did that bullshit in the last weeks, or we really start going up from here. But before you throw all hope away, I have a comparison for this bullshit. So the first comparison I have for you, left side again 4 hour in the now time, right side 4 hour in December 2024. Also here, we're coming from a big drop. Here would be our T landmark, the same landmark we had here. We made our V. Here's our V. The same like we did here. We did our great higher low, which also was a perfect V&A and 0.786. And then, if you look, we did this stupid sideways shit here. Yeah, that would be this sideways shit here. Of course, it was shorter back then, because every time when a fractal repeats, it gets slower and bigger. Only question is, because I have a second place too, do we really need this candle here? Yeah. If we're repeating this candle here, yeah, we have two ways. First, we would go up, but we wouldn't reject this trend line. In my opinion, something around 260 to 320. Yeah, somewhere in this range would be this single candle. Then you would come down. In that case, I would imagine, you will do, let's say it will be 326. Yeah. So your candle would go to 326. Then you will make, this would be just as stupid another higher low. Yeah. You have to come down to 126, to 123 again, under your 0.76 here. And then the really big move starts. That would be version 1. Yeah. For version 2, I had to change the time frame a little bit. So here, everything stays the same. Left side, still 6-4 hour. Right side is on a 1 hour, so we just get more candles. But this would be April, May 2024. Also here, you came from your T landmark. Same as here. You made your V, you made your V, you made your perfect higher low, which also was under the 0.786. Then you did this little sideways shoot. And here again, you had this candle. So maybe we really have to see this candle. This time, this candle went over the higher low. In that case, you would be something around $5, $4, $6. But also here, after you did this candle, you fall back under your 0.786. So let's say we do this stupid candle. Let's say it will go to $6. Your target after that would be, in this case, a perfect breakout retest. Yeah, so 145-ish. And after that, you get even the bigger move. Yeah. So still, I still have hope for FFAI. The only thing are just the levels. Yeah. So if you break again under 99 cents, you will go down. The only thing you are not allowed to break is 83 cents. If you break 83 cents, I would say forget this play. If you go outside, and especially if you break $1.33, that's bullish. If you go over 1.68, I think you're ready in the squeeze or in these two candles I showed. Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, next one is bull. So the updated version of bull. So all in all, in this case, we even have the bullish way where we can say we know how the IPO looks. So we know how the A and the B looks. So if we repeating that, I don't think we will do something like this, but I think you won't really see the big B pullbacks. It maybe not one candle up, but it should still be very, very steep uptrend. Is this factor finished? Well, with the bullish version, our absolute low was November 21, and this higher low would have been finished, November 21st, yeah. And this higher low in the best case was finished on November 21st. Let's look into it. So, just for clarification, in my old tracking, December 21st was the finish of this higher low. So this would have been our higher low. Problem is, with this drop here, this can't be. It's wrong because we went lower. So this whole thing here was just our T. Okay? In the best case, still, because our T started here, we went here lower, so the T is finished. So this could be already our finish of the higher low. We started a little micro higher low here, but I really think that this isn't finished yet. So we still have to go, I would say something under 7.73, bounce here, and then we can go. For levels, because there's not much to say, it's nice price action. So for levels, we start with the downside. If you break under 7.64 again, I think you will go for a new all-time low, wherever this is. Yeah, because down here there is just nothing. And then we have to start the higher low again and blah 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 blah. Yeah. For the bullish tracking, as I said, the first thing you want to see is a drop under 7.73 and then bounce. But if not, everything over 8.74 is bullish. And everything over 10.36, and there is no alternative anymore. Yeah. And as I showed before, your next target for A is 18 to 20, and for B 33 to 40-ish. If this thing is finished, and it's a Chinese broker, so I think the perfect news for this will be a China deal with the USA. Let's see. Okay, next one is Bed Bath & Beyond. So for Bed Bath & Beyond, I completely overworked the whole thing. It didn't really change much on the tracking, but I still have 3 versions for this right now. So for version 1, which is the unlikeliest one, so which I don't think would happen, just means that our peak in October 2025 was not our higher low, it was just our T. So I'm talking about this T here. Yeah. In that case, we still have to drop to a new all-time low and start over all over again. That also would mean that this little peak here was our little tiny micro high low, and we really should start knifing now. As I said, that's just the old for the bearish tracking. For version 2, would this whole thing just be higher low, but this higher low wouldn't be finished yet. What I mean with that? Well, in that thing, you take from your absolute low in April 2025 to your peak, your 0.5 FIB, and also in that case, our last peak here was just our T. And you still have to come lower to 4.66, maybe doing a little micro higher low, and then you can go. For this version, I am right now 50-50. Yeah. Let's say 40-60. So it's, yeah, 40-60. So it's not absolutely off the table. Still don't think that. For version 3, this is the version I tending the most to it. I mean, okay, I could be also a little bit too bullish on it because I already have contracts. So Maybe I'm a little bit influenced by that. But that would mean that from April till May 2025, this little thing was our higher low. And this is already our A. Yeah? Because if you take from your absolute low to your peak, the fib, we bounced at the 0.618. In that case, we really should go up now. Yeah? I also have a comparison for that in a second. The only thing which still could happen if this was our finished pullback, that we are doing now a micro higher low. Yeah? And we would already would have topped in our micro higher low. So that would mean we still have the possibility that we have to go lower than 5.8. Yeah. Then bounce and then go up. Yeah? Before I show the comparison, in that case, 4 levels. For this thing, if we still have to complete the little micro high low, you have to go under 580. Yeah? But you're not allowed to break or touch 538. Yeah? If you break 538, I think version 1 or 2 comes into play again. If you break to the upside and you break over 969, I think all alternatives to the downside are done. And the confirmation for this would be 12.66. Yeah. What would be your next target? Well, your next target would be B at 36.58. So now to what I compare to. So for the best version, left side is still now and right side is March 2020. Right side on the 4 hour, on the 1 hour, left side on the 8 hour. And we have quite the same movements here. We have our little higher low down here. We have our little higher low down here. We have our T landmark, We broke out. We broke out. We have here a W or an M pattern, yeah, which also would be our A. Same like here. Same like here, we take from our absolute low the fib. We came near the 0.5. Here, we came under the 0.5, but still over the 7.8. So if we are really bullish, in my opinion, right now, we would be in this range here. Yeah. So it looks interesting. Let's see. Just for the bearish alternative, the only problem why I also have this bearish alternative where we can say we still have to go to an all-time low. You also have here, wait a second. Yeah. Still 2020, you still have the same problem that you're coming from your M, from your M, you bounce and you do an M or W pattern here. Yeah. It's the old version which I already showed months ago. In that case, you would be right now here, March 6, 2020. This little blip would be this. Confirmation for this would be a gap down. Then you know you're here. Then you know you have to do a new all-time low. But to say this, even if we do that, I don't think that Bed Bath & Beyond will die. This is the perfect buy-in down there for the next fucking run. But let's see. Next one is Highcraft Mining. So I always said at the beginning of the channel and in the last months and weeks, when I am wrong on something, and I'm not perfect, I can be wrong, I won't delete the chart. and I will sit here and say I was wrong. Yeah? For Highcroft mining, I was wrong. Pretty simple. First time I was wrong, I said this year around 29 was the top. Second time was, I think, yeah, 36, 40 here. That was the top, which clearly it wasn't. So, yeah, I was wrong, and I will say that and show that every time. So, what is still the tracking for this? Yeah, because I don't give up tracking this shit. 2 versions. Version 1 is the most stupid one. Highcroft mining just say, fuck you, break you over new all-time highs, and it's gone. Yeah, there's nothing to say here. It's just gone. What I still think will happen, you still have a gap here between 67 and $60. I think we are so close, I think we will fill this gap. This is still my A for me. Still. Yeah? We still will go up here. What happens after that? Yeah, it's still the 0.5 after that. So when you gap fill, in my opinion, whatever news will happen, earnings, gold crash, whatever, 0.5 will come down. In that case, if you really reach and gap to this gap fill at 68, 70, you will go down to a 0.5, 10.53. You will bounce here, and then you do your B and your maybe break all-time highs. Yeah? And to say that, symmetry tracking still works. What I mean with that, you halve the stock, you're taking this bars pattern, flip it to the right side, and track it from right to left. In that case, yeah, nearly 1-to-1. I just didn't thought that we would go that high. Still, I want to see this drop. And I really think we will get this drop. Yeah. Maybe even harder after we went that high. So, let's see if I'm wrong again on this stock. So, next one is Plug. So, for Plug, I also completely not renewed the tracking, but I just deleted something, so it's better looking. Yeah. For Plug, I would even say I would range this tracking and this fractal in the same range like FCEL, because it's perfectly 1-to-1 tracking with the rules. So for Plug started its IPO in the last run to its C in 1999. Yeah. This B and A we didn't saw, but it makes the most sense. Then you made your lower high, your midpoint, your T. Your all-time low was February 2013. It's also a very old fractal. From 2013 till June 2025, this was your higher low. And I say this for the bullish version, because I have 2 versions for this. Let's start with version 2, with the bearish version. This would still be your higher low, yeah. But for the bearish version, this higher low isn't finished yet. Yeah? That means that our last peak here on October 25 was just our D landmark, and we still have to come down to 46 cents. So you would start knifing and then bounce, and then you would go up. Right now, I'm still not believing that. I have this case, but not believing that. For version 1, this higher low is finished in May 2025. And you're already at the outbreak. And this outbreak we will look at a second. Your next target for Plug would be $13, then a 0.5 pullback, and after that, you still go to your macro A. This is still macro A. This is still a young fractal. I mean, it's very old, but if you only did your macro high or low and you still have to do your macro A, you can imagine how high this shit can go. The macro A has at least have to be over $73. So let's look into the micro tracking. So here is the micro tracking. Here is the point where the higher low ended in May 2025. The only problem I really have with plug is because you really have to search for the higher lows. Yeah. So still, if you're not saying we're taking the bearish old where we have to go to 40 cents, you still have here two versions. Yeah. First version would be the bearish one, would mean that this is still your tiny higher low. I can't oversee this still because you're still under the trend line. That would mean you still have to go lower. You still have to go exactly under $1.03, then bounce, then you get the breakout over the trend line. That would just make this whole thing your higher low. If not, there's also the case where this is not higher low, it's just A. Only problem I have with this here would be a small higher low. I hate that, you know that. But I can't oversee things. So if this is enough for a little higher low, this was just A. And this A was already finished on November 18 because we bounced on the 0.5. We already did our micro higher low here, bounced, and are on the breakout. So the thing for this is, I would strictly play this with levels. Yeah. So if you go over 2.97, yeah, there is no downside alternative anymore, and your next target is 14 for B. Yeah. How this would look like? Well, you would go up from here, you take a 0.5, and this would be nearly perfect. Your pullback target, and then you would go even higher. Yeah. As I said, if you break 297, that's absolutely bullish, and we go up. Confirmation would be 471. Yeah, then the bearish alternative is over. If you drop from here, and in my opinion, if you drop under $1.61, you still have the possibility that you have to do this higher low, that you have to break under $1.03, and then you can still bounce. But if you break under 80 cents, I think the overall bearish alternative will take place and you will go to 40 cents. Yeah. So maybe just wait, yeah, for the confirmation for these levels. But still, it's a fuel cell company, so it's energy. I don't think that this stock goes away. Okay. And last one is SAVA. So for SAVA, I always say this is our 100% risk play. Yeah. Why? Just because if you go into contracts, which is the big money machine in this stock, and we are wrong, you won't get out of them. Just saying. If you're right, you, for example, don't need HYMC or GME anymore. Yeah? Why are we tracking this? Because it's a buyer company. Buyer companies are always quite shitty. But the interesting thing in this buyer company is it always doing the same thing. It getting a peak, it gaps down, doing bullshit, gaps up. It gets a peak, gaps down, bullshit, gaps up. It's getting a peak, gaps down, bullshit, gaps up. And the last one, it gaps down, bullshit, gaps up. And for the fractal, our low was in December 2018. We did the whole fractal. We got our T, gap down. If tracking is right, your new low was on April 2025. We did bullshit, and now we're tracking for this gap fill. And the gap fill is at $25. And right now we're at 220. So for the tracking, I also made the chart completely new. Nothing really changed except one alternative came to it. So we have still 3 versions. Version 1 would mean you break to the downside and make new lows. Yeah. In that case, I still say we would be right now here. Yeah. In December 2018, you still have to come down to a new low, and this will be fucking quick. That's why I said 100% risk play, because you might don't get out anymore. This section here would be most likely the next 6 months, and you have your next chance June, July for the next gap fill. That would be version 1. Version 2, which is new, is that this higher low isn't finished. And that would mean you still have to come under the 0.786. Yeah? That would mean our last peak here was just our T. Our A would go here, which is sadly quite enough for a 0.5. But from the bottom of A, this would be our B. So I can't oversee this because it still looks absolutely fucking nice if you take in the rules 1-to-1. So in that case, you would really come lower than this, bounce here, and then you go. But I don't think that this will take till June, just saying. So for version 3, we have to go even closer. So for version 3, this higher low is finished. And it was finished on December 31st. We added in a V&A. So in that case, here's our V&A. Perfect. After that, we added a small higher low, which also was finished under V&A, under the 0.786. And it was finished on January 20. And after that, I mean, you could go even lower in time frame. So let's look on the 5 minute. Yeah, you will see here also a little higher low, a micro higher low, which also, like I showed on DGT, was also a micro higher low. And in the moment we finished this without news, we broke out. So what will happen next? So if you look at this from your low things, this could be already our micro A. Yeah, it gets now already dangerous because we are already on the 5 minute and micro tracking the shit. They are really where mistakes could happen. So in that case, I only can work with levels. In my opinion, if we break over 247, bullish. If we go over 351, I don't even think we see that anymore as a confirmation. That would be already the start of the really, really strong run to $25 gap fill. Only thing you could still say that you have to do a breakout retest. Yeah, so $2.10-ish, maybe even doing a breakout retest to $2.06. I mean, we're talking about tiny cent percentages here, but this stock is also not moving quick on the downside. But the last level I want to see bounce is $2.06. If you break down, yeah, I think, as I showed before, you still have to do the big higher low. Yeah, in that case, you still have to drop to $1.58. But no, I mean, yeah, of course, but the real number would be $1.46. But this is your last chance. Yeah, again, if you do this, last chance to bounce here. If you break really low to this, you will make new all-time lows. As I said, it's really a fucking high risk play. Yeah. So if you're not confident with it, I wouldn't play it. I mean, what I also say, the contracts are worthless right now. Yeah. So maybe you could even throw, no financial advice, $50 to it. Yeah. Because even with $50, I run to $25 with options. That's 1000% only on shares. For options, that's 10,000%. Yeah. But I said, whatever you throw into this stock, it could be in the moment gone when you went in. Yeah. 100% risk play, even more riskier than AMC and HYMC, in my opinion. Okay. Well, this was a 1 hour video. So if you got till this point, thank you. As always, if you liked it, leave a like. Explanation video for the Fractal Method as always here. Playlist for normal stocks here. And if you want to see more, you can leave another. See you next week.